Okay, so we've learned how to add value to a circle, and you guys are practicing adding value to different shapes in the packet right here. So a sphere is super easy to draw and add value to because you don't have to know any perspective of how to draw a circle. You just draw a circle. But for these shapes, there's actually some, specifically for the cube and the cylinder, there is some perspective involved that I want you guys to know that will make it a lot easier when you're drawing your still lifes. So we're going to go over it. So we're going to, well, I've done a few, but we're going to be practicing drawing a cylinder, a cube, and a pyramid in, these are done in 2-point, this is done in 1-point perspective, but we're going to practice this in our sketchbooks. So if you flip to a blank page, and then turn your sketchbook sideways, we'll start, and then you're just going to need your ruler, and an orange pencil is fine, and an eraser. So first step is creating a horizon line. So I'm going to go ahead and put my ruler towards the upper half of my notebook and drawing a horizontal line across like this. And if you noticed in my drawings, in this drawing, if your shapes and forms are below the horizon line, then the top of the shape will be exposed because you're looking downwards onto the shapes. And a lot of you guys, when you're taking photos of your still lifes, will be at a higher angle. So that's why I'm showing you guys how to draw it from this angle. But if you have a horizon line on the bottom of your page, it'll be like you're looking upwards, so you'll see the bottom of the shape. So I'm going to label this horizon line, and then I'm going to create 2 vanishing points on the left and right side. So I'm going to call this vanishing point 1, vanishing point 2. And again, you'll see how we're going to use these in a second, but we're doing 2-point perspective and 1-point perspective. So again, 2-point perspective, you use 2 vanishing points. 1-point perspective, you only use 1. So we'll start off with a cube. And to start creating a cube in 2-point perspective, you draw a line going or a vertical line. And I'm going to do it in the center. And then you're going to be measuring a line that goes from the top of your line to vanishing point 1, the bottom of the line to vanishing point 1, and then you do the same thing on the other side where you have these lines extending towards both vanishing points on the top and bottom of your line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And then I'm also making sure that I'm not extending the lines all the way back to my vanishing point because I do not want to have to erase, but you can, if that helps you learn, extend your line all the way back. That's fine. You'll just have to erase more. And then I'm going to close off my shape with a parallel line. So this is really important. When you're drawing a cube, all your lines are either going to be going towards the vanishing point or they're going to be parallel with this line right here. So I'm going to create parallel lines and close off the side of the shape, and I can erase any excess if I need to. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going from the top of this line to my second vanishing point, and then the bottom. And just make sure everything's lining up. And then you can close off the shape. And then you can erase any excess. So now it looks like an open book, but now we need to close off the top of the shape. And you're going to do this by seeing where this parallel line and this line that extends back to the vanishing point meet. So there's this like angle right here. And you're going to go to the opposite vanishing point. So for this case, it's going to be vanishing point 2 on the left side. And then on the right side where these two angles meet, I'm going to go to vanishing point 1. And then I can erase the excess. And now I have a cube in 2-point perspective. And again, all my lines are either going to the vanishing points or they're parallel with each other. So now we're going to draw a pyramid, which involves a little bit more steps. So the way we're going to construct the pyramid is we're going to draw the bottom of it first. So I'll show you guys a really quick example of what we're going to be doing. So if I actually decided that this cube is glass and you can see the bottom, it would look like this. And so how we're going to construct the pyramid is we're going to first measure out this square on the bottom and then draw the pyramid from the base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first line up my vanishing point 1 and just measure a line that goes from my vanishing point to the left or the right side of the page, and I'm going to start constructing the base. So there's my first line. Again, then once you have a line down, you can start connecting the ends of the lines back to the vanishing points. So that one's extending to vanishing point 2. The end of this line is going to go to vanishing point 1. And then I'm going to close off this shape by extending it to vanishing point 2. So now I have the bottom. This is the base of the pyramid. Now this is where it gets a little confusing. So I want to find the center of this because I need to create the top of the pyramid in the center. So I'm going to create an X in the middle. And we're going to end up erasing all of these, so you can draw yours a little bit lighter than what I'm doing. And then draw a vertical line extending from the middle of this X. Okay. And again, make sure you're holding your ruler straight. And then depending on how long you make this line, that's going to be the top of your pyramid. So now I'm going to go ahead and start connecting. Instead of connecting this to that, you're not going to do that. So you're going to connect everything to the top of this line. So the only part we're using our 2-point perspective is for the base, which I know can be confusing. But I'm going to go from the side, connect it to my point, and then I'm going to connect the back to my point. Oh, I didn't. Okay. Let me redo that line. Okay. So now it's going to look a little bit weird, but this is just to determine where the point is in the center. So now I can actually erase the inside. I'm going to leave this base here, but I'm going to erase that line. And now instead of it just going to the center, we're going to connect the top of this to this corner. So we're going to connect a line from here to here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now my pyramid will start to make more sense. And again, start to erase your lines. So now I have the back corner, and I can connect this just back to the point as well. So like if this pyramid was glass, this is what it would look like. So that's how you could draw a pyramid using 2-point perspective, but we're just using the base to figure out the perspective and the vanishing points, and then you find the center, draw a vertical line, and then all the lines just connect to that point. Okay, last one we're going to draw is a cylinder, and we're going to use 1-point perspective, so it's a lot easier and more straightforward. And for 1-point perspective, all you're doing is you're starting off with drawing the shape first that you're drawing. So we're going to be doing a cylinder, but I'm going to show you guys how to construct a cylinder from a rectangle. So we're going to be drawing a rectangle first. So I'm going to go ahead and create my rectangle. Okay. And we're not going to be looking at a vanishing point 2. This is 1 point perspective. So instead of, extending it to both vanishing points, we're just extending it to vanishing point 1. You go to the corner of the top of the shape. You extend it back. And I'm going to make this shape closed off so that the top of it is a little bit thinner. So there's my square in one, or rectangle or cube in 1 point perspective. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an ellipse on the top of this, because the whole point of drawing this first is to see how the perspective would look if the horizon line and vanishing point are placed here. So this is how much of the ellipse would be showing. So I'm going to draw an ellipse that would fit on the inside of the top of this shape. And then I'm going to draw a line that goes, this is where we're going to have to do a lot more erasing too. Because you could totally measure out the bottom of this and do the perspective to do vanishing point 2, but I think that honestly this takes too long. So I just want to get the correct perspective of the ellipse. And I'm just going to have that, and then the bottom of my shape. And then I'm going to just draw parallel lines from the bottom. From the top of this to the bottom. And then, now that I know where the width needs to be, I'm just going to try my best to copy the shape and width of this ellipse. And again, like I said, you can measure this out and it will be like even more accurate, but I think it's a little excessive to do that. So I'm going to draw another ellipse with a similar width and shape. And then you don't want the bottom of your shape to be flat, so that's why it's important to draw the second ellipse. So there's my cylinder. And again, everything's really correct. And again, if this was glass, you would see the inside, but because this is solid, you would only see the curve of the bottom and then the top of the shape. Don't draw your ellipse like this, where you have, your cylinder like this, where you have the ellipse and then a flat bottom. It should always have this curved bottom. So I want you guys to practice these in your sketchbook. Again, you can play with like putting your pyramid or cube in different areas of the page. Like if I put the cube to the left, this side would be a lot more squished, and then this side would be wider. Or like you can even, if you have room, maybe you can see what would happen if you put your shape on the top of the vanishing or the horizon line. Then you would actually see the bottom of the shape. But I want you guys to practice these and understand how to draw forms and correct perspective. Just because when we do our still lifes and you guys have to draw one of these, it'll be a lot easier for you. So again, just remembering all your lines should be going to vanishing point, or they should be parallel. So that is it.